Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-thru as we continue our discussion on fleas, ticks, and other microprocesses of the mind. We were going to devote our focus back to rational functions. This is the second part of the video. Now, if you notice, our questions are going to involve dividing by a fraction. If we remember one simple little rule about dividing by fractions, then the rest of this video will be no different than yesterday's video. Do we remember how to do 3/4 divided by 1/2? Well, you got to put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Okay, so put your first number down, and then instead of dividing by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. Flip it and reverse it. Okay, so then you just multiply sideways. You get 6/4, which is 3/2. Okay? That's the answer to this question. What is 3/4 divided by 1/2? 3/2. So far, so good? All right. Now, let's apply that. I'm going to erase real quick. Psych. I'm going to erase real slow. Let's apply that to number 17 over here. We'll do number 17 and number 18. So all we got to do is rewrite it as a multiplication problem. I'm going to change it to multiply. Okay? So far, so good. Now let's state the restrictions. So look, you're not allowed to divide by 0. So I cannot divide that thing by 0. So x cannot be 0. However, you can't divide by 0. So y is also not allowed to be 0. I got to figure out what things will make the bottoms of my fractions equal to 0. By filling in what number for what constants. Does that kind of make sense? Alright, so we got our restrictions listed. Now we can do what maybe would be considered simplifying our fractions. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Let's just start with that. So on the top, you get x to the 4th, y to the 4th, and on the bottom, you get 2 times 3, so 6, x to the 1st, y to the 5th. Alright, well remember, x to the 4th is x times x times x times x, 4 times. So that's why I can just take that and make it a third and cancel it with that. Yeah, Ken?
How come the 2 and 3 are allowed to be multiplied if the 2 is in front of the y and the 5th?
Because I can multiply things in any order. So the answer is, how come 2y to the 5th, 3x, can be written like that? And the answer is, I can also write that as 2 times 3 times y to the 5th times x, because it doesn't matter what order I multiply things in, it doesn't change the answer. So that's the answer to your good question, okay? So I've gotten rid of this x to the 4th, I've gotten rid of that x. I can get rid of this whole y to the 4th, and we're left with 1y on the bottom. So our final answer for this is x cubed on top and 6y on the bottom. Okay? Maxwell, I'll be right with you. If you want to come back in 4 minutes, that's fine. Alright, so let's do that one again. 6x plus 6 divided by 7 times x minus 2 over 4x plus 4. Alright, so from this one, x is not allowed to be 2. But in this one, well, let's see. What would make 4x plus 4 equal to 0, Kendall? Yes. So x cannot equal 2 or negative 1. You got it right with negative 1. Okay? Now, we're going to have to factor. So what number does the 6x and the 6 have in common? 6 times x plus 1 over 7 times x minus 2 over, what does 4x and 4 have in common? 4, and we're left with x plus 1. Keep in mind we're multiplying these things, and that's what allows us to cancel. Essentially, x plus 1 divided by x plus 1 is gone, and that's gone. So what you're left with on the top is 6 times x minus 2, and on the bottom you've got 7 times 4, which is 28. Oh, I'm not done yet, because both those things are divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 27 divided by, no, 28 is not divided by 3. No. Oh, no! No! Ah! Undo. Where'd my undo go? Let's divide it by 2. Sorry. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 28 divided by 2 is 14. There's our answer. 3 times x minus 2 times 14. Does that help?
Yes.
All right, one more. Hard one. Okay? Those of you guys that are moding up into accelerated and challenging yourself. A rectangle. What's the area of a rectangle? What's that equation?
H times L.
Length times width, or h times L. That's fine. You did length times height. That's fine. You can do base times height. All you need to know is to find how many squares are inside of a rectangle. You take how wide it is, multiply by how high it is. Okay? So what do we have in here? Well, we have 10b over 6b minus 6 equals b plus 2 over 2b minus 2 times w. We want to solve this thing for w. Okay? So what do we need to do to get w by itself, Kendall? We need to divide both sides. We need to do 10b over 6b minus 6 divided by b plus 2 over 2b minus 2. We are going to multiply. Yep. I'll go back to your question because it's a good one. Let's look at this equation right here, Sammy. What are you trying to solve for? Yes, it says write an expression for the width. So what's being done to the w? It's being multiplied. How do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. That's what I did right there. Does that help? Okay? Now, instead of dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we can say 10b over 6b minus 6 times 2b minus 2 over b plus 2. Factor. 10b over 6 times b minus 1 times 2 times b minus 1 over b plus 2. All right, here we go. We got to do some cross-canceling. B minus 1 and b minus 1 cancel. That's a 5, and that's a 3. Okay? So on top, I have 5 times 2 times b. So that's 10b. And on the bottom, you have 3. Yep, that times that times that. Good question. On the bottom we have 3 times b plus 2. A very common thing that people would do wrong here would be cancel their b's. You can't do that because the one on the bottom is being added. And just remember in life that 3 divided by 3 plus 2, that is not 1/2. It's 3/5. Right? You just do the math. And 3/5 is not a half. So you can't do things like that. You can't cross. But it's a common mistake. Alright, hope that helps. Appreciate you girls. Boom!